Hello. All right, welcome back. Now, in this class, we will go over the previous Jamb past questions. You will find useful tips and tricks alongside the correct answers and solutions for all the fine arts questions. Now, like always, we will be using the ExamGuide app so you can download and practice more past questions using the app. Now, let's get started. All right, so now we'll take question 1. And now the question we have there is, artworks that are produced to serve a utilitarian purpose are classified as dash. A, applied art. B, fine art. C, liberal art. And D, theater art. Now let me explain this so you understand why the answer is what we are going to choose as the answer. Now, fine art, or will I use the word art, is divided into 2 parts. Now, the first one is known as applied art, and the first one is known as fine art, while the second one, visual art, while the second one is known as what? Non-visual art. Now, these are the 2 major divisions of fine art. Now, under visual art, we have the fine art and the applied art. Likewise, we have under the non-visual art, we have the theater art and the library art. Now, under fine art, we have the fine art, like I said, and then the applied art. Under fine art, we have drawing, painting, and sculpture. Now, this segment under visual art deals with pleasure. You know, it satisfies the soul. I call it the art for the rich. Why the applied art solves a particular problem. They are made to solve a utilitarian what? Problems. So, applied art are usually to solve problems. So therefore, when you see a question like this, artworks that are produced to serve a utilitarian purpose. Now, utilitarian purpose means to solve a problem. It is useful. Now, which of these arts, among the number of arts that is listed there, that solves problems? Now, you see the applied art, you see fine art, you see liberal art, and then you see theater art. Now, the answer there now is what? Applied art, which is what? A. A is what? Our answer for this question. You can't say it's fine art because fine art is for pleasure. It does not solve any problem. It's for beauty. You know, just like you just want to wear an earring to enhance your beauty. It doesn't really, it's not necessary. It doesn't really solve any problem. You know, you use them to adorn your house. You can buy an ordinary chair, but rather you go to buy a sofa. Seats are seats. Now, the extra artistic nature that is added on that stick is on the seat is what you're paying for. That is what fine art is talking about. But the real ideal of the seat is to sit down, which is the applied art aspect of it. Now, you see, so applied art solves problems. They are utilitarian. So that is why we choose the word what? Applied art. Now, you cannot say liberal art. Now, liberal art is another form of art. Now, those liberal art, they are more or less for writing, writing, talking, more of storytelling and other, or theater art for dance, drama. They are to satisfy our emotional wants. But the major arts that are useful, that solves problems, are what? The applied art. Now, examples of applied art, we'll talk about the architecture, which solves the problem of what? Accommodation, building, housing. Under applied arts, we still have arts like ceramics. Imagine you going to the restaurant and they want to serve you food. They ask you to open your hand because there is no plate. So the ceramics, it solves the problem. Your WC, your toilet sink, and to mention but a few. Now, what about textile? Imagine if there is no textile. Everybody will be naked. So under applied art, we have textile, photography, ceramics, architecture, graphics, to mention but a few. So now this falls under applied art. So having explained this, I want to believe you got the real reason why the answer is applied art. So therefore, the answer for question number 1 is applied art. All right, let's take the next question, question 2. Literary art involves dash, like I explained initially. Literary art, remember I told you that fine art is divided into 2, which is what? Visual art and non-visual art. Now, under visual art, we have the fine art and applied art. While under non-visual art, we have what? The literary art, which is as well under we have literary art and then theater art. So these are the 2 that fall under what? The non-visual art. So now the question now goes, literary art involves A, You see, painting and sculpture. No, painting and sculpture is fine art. That's where it falls under, and that falls under what? Visual art. Now, architecture falls under applied art. Now, drama falls under performing art. While literary art, just like the name implies, talks about what? Writing. You know, which falls under what? Poetry and prose. Therefore, the answer to question number 2 is D, which is poetry and prose. They are what? The perfect example of literary art. But that's not all. You know, in your they can actually swap this to law and journalism. You understand? So this is another one too that can replace the poetry and prose. So because under literary arts, you have law, journalism, you have poetry, you have prose. You understand? So these are the ones that fall. You have folktales. So they fall under what? Literary art. So that's why you classify the likes of Wale Soyinka as an artist. Because they paint with their what? With their pen. The likes of Chinua Achebe, you know, Amadi, to mention but a few. All these are what? They're artists. Because they create with what? Pen and with their words. All right. So having said that, the answer for question number 2 is D, which is the poetry and prose. All right. So now let's see question number 3. The shape illustrated above is a mold. Now, which of the following will best fit into that mold? Beautiful. So this is a very cheap question. Mel looking at it. Now, what is a mold? A mold is like is like a plate that actually, if you fill it up with any medium, you can actually recreate the shape of that plate. Now, let me explain. For example, if I want to duplicate a camera, I can actually create a mold of that camera. So whenever I pour maybe plaster of Paris or cement or clay into the mold and then allow it to dry, by the time I break it off, then I'll get the same shape, the exact shape of the mold. I don't know if you get. Now, another perfect example is for those of you that have seen these people that makes the interlock. You know what they call the interlock? You should know. The interlock, what you use on your compound, those stones that they arrange. Yes. Now, how they make the interlock? They made the interlock out of molds. So, based on the example you're seeing on your screen, which of the shape do you think best fits into the mold? Is it A? If you look at the star of A, it has an extra knob, so that's not the one. Is it B? That's a shapeless star. Is it C or D? So which among this diagram best fits into what? The mold. And then I guess if you look at it now, you know that the answer is answer C, or option C rather. So C best fits the mold. So therefore, the answer for question number 3 is what? The star. The C. All right. So now let's look at question number 4. All right. Question number 4 says the listen is quite, but I think you can actually read it. But I guess now the design explains dash. Is it a basic shape? Is it basic forms? Is it elliptical shapes or elliptical forms? So that design, which of the shape is best explained? Now, is it shapes? Is it form? Is it elliptical shapes or elliptical form? Now, let me break it down so that you understand exactly what they're trying to explain. Now, first of all, let's take A, shapes. What are shapes? Shapes are enclosed lines. You understand? They are what? Enclosed lines. They are the outline of an object. That is shape. They are the outline of what? An object. The shape of a man, the shape of a woman. You understand? You can just do the shape. Now, that is that. Now, the form is the 3D of what? A shape. Now, forms are 3-dimensional, while shapes are 2-dimensional. That's just the major difference between forms and shape. Now, for those of you that have been following following us so far, both in our lessons, I've covered this in some of the subjects with some of the topics we treated in our lessons, so you can still go back there and check them. But however, in the course of this, I want you to get the major, as in after my explanation, you'll be able to answer this question. So now let's take it again. Now, shapes like I say, they are what? 2-dimensional. They don't have depth and they don't have breadth. They're just what? 2-dimensional what? Shapes. They're just 2-dimensional. While forms are what? 3-dimensional. You can appreciate them in 3D. Now, They're now asking you, the diagram above, does it explain shape as in basic shapes or basic forms or elliptical shapes or what elliptical forms? Based on what you're seeing there, you will know that those are what basic shapes, because you can actually identify with all the shapes that you have there. You see the circle, you see the square, you see the rectangle, you see the mini circle and all that. They're just basic shape. They're not formed, they're not 3D, and they're not elliptical. So you understand? So now the answer for question number 4 is what? A. Because every other shape there are 3-dimensional, including the elliptical shapes and what the elliptical what? Form. So the correct answer to this question is what? The basic shape. Don't mind the fact that they added, they painted some parts of the shape. That is just to get you to twist it. You understand? But truly, what you have there, they're just all basic what? Shapes. All right. So now let's look at question number 5. I hope you're following and you're getting on exactly what we're doing. All right. Now, question number 5. Emphasis in a composition means that attention is drawn to dash. Beautiful. This is an awesome question. Now, listen. In art, we have the elements of art, and then we have the principles of art. Now, we have 7 elements of art, which is line, form, color, shape, texture, tones, and space. These are the 7 elements of art. However, we have the principles of art. They are 9 in number, which is balance, balance, emphasis. We have rhythm, we have proportion, we have harmony, there are 9 in number. So emphasis is one of, and dominance. Emphasis is one of the element and one of the principles of art. So now these principles helps to guide the artist in how to manipulate what? The elements. Meanwhile, what is elements? Elements of art are those physical tangibles, those things you can see, feel, and touch on an artwork. For example, on every artwork, you see lines, you see color, you see the texture, you can touch the texture. Yes, you see the space. You can see the space. You know how much size of space you're working on. You can see the forms and the shape. Now, those are the elements. But now you need the principle to guide the artist in order to manipulate what? The elements. So, in a work of art, which principles create emphasis? Like, imagine you looking at a poster and then you don't know where to concentrate on. Everywhere is just busy. So now, emphasis now is a principle to tell you, no, the attention should be directed to something. For example, let me use this water bottle for an example. Now, looking at this design, what is the emphasis? You discover that there are a lot of design around the bottle, but the major catcher there is the textile Pure Life. That's the emphasis. So now, based on the question, emphasis in a composition means that attention is drawn to A, certain parts than others. B, color what? Predominantly what? Used. C, the entire surface of the composition. And D, color harmony. So what do you think emphasis explain? If they should ask you now, based on this, now what do you think emphasis explain? Based on my explanation. Now it explains that certain parts, attention is drawn towards certain parts of what? Than the others. Because there are a lot of things to pay attention to here. But because of this design, it's focused on one. So it is dragging your attention to just that particular point, which is what? The emphasis. I hope you understand that. So therefore, the answer to this question is A. A is the correct answer for this question number 5. I hope you're following and you're understanding exactly what we're saying. Beautiful. All right, so now let's continue. Now let's go over to question number 6. Now the illustration reflects contrast of dash. If you look at the illustration there, the design you have up there, you see different shapes, you see different forms and different shapes, you see different tones and different grades. Now they say the illustration reflects contrast of dash. A, shape and size. The illustration up, if you look at this, does it reflect shape? Yes. Size? Not really, because they are almost of the same size. So therefore, A is out of the game. Now let's look at B. Size and texture. Size and texture. Size Yeah, they are of different, not really, the sizes are similar. Texture, okay, texture. So let's just keep B apart because B is somehow close, it's confusing. Now let's look at question number option C. Tones and shape. Tones and shape. You see, the tones, it's, now go back to the question and see what the question says. It says the illustration reflects contrasts of what? Tones and shape. Is that what it reflects more? Or it reflects tones and size? Now the answer is D, because the tones there are more reflected and then the shape are what? Different. So it's actually talks more about what? The tones and what? Shape. Therefore, question number 6 is the correct answer. Question option number C is the correct answer for this, because it's not the size, not the texture, it is not the shape and the size, rather it is the tone and what? The shapes. That is more what it reflects or illustrates more than any other stuff, any other of the options. All right, now let's look at option number 7. The effect of solidity best exhibited in dash. The effect of solidity is best exhibited in dash. Now if you look at the shapes there, you see about 4 different shapes. Now they say the effect of solidity. Now what is solidity? Solidity explains what? The darkness, the thickness of what? A thing. So which among them explains that is more solid? Is it A, as in I? Is it I? Is it I? Or is it IV? So if you look at them, A has more tone. It is more what? Solid. Now for those of you that print things, if you go to a printing press and then you give them a photo to print and then it has a black background, they will tell you it has a solid background. Therefore, they might charge you even more. So which means our answer there now is A, which has what? More solid background or solid texture among the other ones. All right, so question number 7, the answer is A. All right, now let's look at question number 8. Now the effect produced by the combination of light, shape and color is dash. Understand the question. The effect produced by the combination of light, shape and color is dash. A, shading. Does shading produce light, shape? What about color? B, painting. Does painting produce light, shape and color? C, choroscro. Does choroscro produce light, paint and color? And D, serigraphy. Does it produce light, shape and color? Now let me explain each and every one of this question and define what each of them means. Now shading. Number 1, shading is adding what? The solidity or making a work of art 3-dimensional. It involves the movement of light from the darkest part to the what? To the lightest part. So in the options there, what the first option covers is just what? Shape and light, because it's the movement of what? Light from the darkest point to the what? To the lightest point. So shading is out of it. Now let's look at painting. Does painting have light? Yes, because with paint you show light, you show shade, you show dark, and then you also show color. Therefore, with that alone, you know that painting is the correct answer to this question. But however, let's still explain question option C. Option C is choroscro. Now choroscro is the end point of shading. Now what do I mean by end point of shading? Now choroscro is the act of shading an object or an object or a given work of art to the point of what? It's hyper realistic what nature. Now when you have shaded something to the hyper realism, it becomes what? Chiaroscuro. Is a French word that explains what? Hyperrealism. Now, calligraphy is the first type of writing that existed before your normal English words, letters. So the ancient, what are they called? The ancient, sorry, forgive me. I'll remember, then I'll tell you. Now, the Greek. Now, they introduced this in as much as, yes, writing started from the Egypt, from Africa. So the first pattern of writing is what's known as what? The serigraphy. So that is the first pattern of writing. So it does not cover light, it does not have shape, it does not have color. That's just letter. It's like writing something. So therefore, your answer is what? Painting. So with painting, you show light. With painting, you show shape. With painting, you show what? Color. So the effect produced by the combination of light, shape, and color is what? Painting. All right. So let's see question number 9. Now, the permanent pattern made on the skin is called dash. Now, what are patterns? Patterns are motifs. These are designs that we create. Now, we have different types of patterns. We have all over repeat pattern. We have different types of pattern. But however, before you create pattern, there's what we call the motif. Now, the motif is just a single unit of what? Of a design. But however, patterns are designs of what? Motif. Therefore, they say the permanent pattern made on the skin is called dash. A, body design. Is body design permanent? No. For those of you that watch Nigerian movie, you see this body painting. And for those of you that send your children to, for most of you that go for birthday party and all that, you do this face painting. Now, they're not permanent because you bath and then you wash them off. So A is out. B, body painting. They are not permanent. There's a lot of works that are not permanent. Then C is graffito. Now graffiti or graffito is painting on the wall. On that word for graffiti is known as what? Mural. We call graffiti mural in Africa. Like why graffiti is what? You use your spray paint to paint on the wall. That is known as what? Graffiti. But however, tattoo is the permanent what? Pattern made on skin. In as much as currently now we have, some temporary tattoo, but the real tattoo, they are permanent. You place them on your skin and they stay there for life. So tattoo comes to be our answer as in question what? Number 9. So the right answer for question number 9 is what? The tattoo. Okay. So now let's go over to question number 10. Plasticine is an art medium that can be used in place of dash. Plasticine is an art medium that can be used in place of dash. Now, what is plasticine? Now, plasticine is an artificial what? Clay. Is malleable. So, I've already told you the answer. But I just wanted to explain what plasticine is. Now, it is an artificial what? Clay. It's malleable. Use it to mold. Now, the question now is, plasticine is an art medium that can be used in place of a clay. Now I don't want you to mistake mud from clay because they are two different things. Clay is different from mud. Clay are natural soil that are gotten from the breaking down of what? Rock surface by what? The climatic factors, either by wind, water, erosion, or any climatic factors that happen on rocks. So they break down and then form what? Clay. Why mud are the normal, if you dig your ground, in big ditches, you see red mud. Those are mud. They are not clay. There are two different things. We have different types of clay. We have primary clay and then we have secondary clay. Now, what are the primary clay? Now, primary clay, we call them residual clay. These are clay that are still in their place of formation. They have not left their place of formation. They are still in their place of what? Formation. So we call them what? Primary clay. Why secondary clay are those clay that have been traveled? We can as well call them what? Transported clay. Because they have left their place of what? Formation. And then such clay carries a whole lot of what? Impurity. Because as they move, either by wind or water, they encounter other what? Impurities. They gather sticks, gather stones, gather sands, gather all those stuffs, and then they are no longer pure. Therefore, if you're working with a secondary clay, it will have to go through a process known as what? The treating method. You have to treat the clay to bring it to the what? To the same state as it was in the original what? When it was what? A primary clay. So I hope you're following. Now, when you say plasticine is an art medium that can be used in place of what? Clay. Plasticine, like I told you, is an artificial what? Art medium. So therefore, our answer for this question is A. All right, so now let's look at question 11. Now, mosaic art of decoration was introduced during dash. A, Romanesque period. B, the Gothic period. C, the medieval period. Or D, the prehistorical period. Now, the Romans We are the first people to introduce pebbles and tiles, in making pictures on the wall of their houses, on the surface, on the ground of their palaces and all that. So they were the first people that introduced mosaic. Now, what is mosaic? Now, mosaic is the act of using hard objects such as stones, pebbles, shells, glass, cowries, beads to make a work of art or to make a painting. Now, so the first people that introduced that is what? The Romans. So during that Romanistic period, that was when mosaic started. However, let me just go down and explain some of this, because during what I was teaching the history of art, I talked about the Gothic period, the medieval period, and then the prehistory period. However, what is the prehistory period? Now, the prehistory period is the period that existed even before the invention of what? Of writing. So that is the definition of prehistory period. Now, these are the period that existed even before the invention of writing. Now, during this prehistory period, I told us we have about 3 different periods before and during that period. We have the Paleolithic period, we have the Mesolithic period, and then we have the Neolithic period. Now, these are the 3 major periods that existed during the prehistory period. We regard them as what? The prehistory period. But however, after these periods, we have other periods like the Classicism, the Fauvism, the Byzantine period, the Romanistic period, the Gothic period, the medievals, a lot of periods after these periods. So, but however, in the course of this study, and they're asking us, who are the people that started what? The mosaic art. Now, the mosaic art is what? Initiated by the what? The Romanistic what? Period. So, I hope you've understood exactly why the answer is Romans. All right. So, now let's look at question number 12. An abstract art is realistic what? Representation of dash. Watch this. An abstract art is a realistic representation of dash. First, what's an abstract art? Now, abstract is simply the drawing of irregular objects. Things that are not normal, or the distortion of what? Normalism. The distortion of normalism can actually be regarded as what? Abstract. Now, they now ask you, abstract art is the realistic representation of A, nature. Is it the realistic representation of nature? No. B, the realistic representation of human or drawing of human figure. Is that true? I don't know. Now let's see. The realistic representation of still life drawing. Do you know what still life drawing is? In fact, let me take this one after the other, so a step after the time, so that you can really understand why we choose the answer we chose. Now, nature. Since I've defined what abstract is as the distorted what? The distorted image or the distorted form or the distorted shape of what? Of an object, or the drawing of an irregular what? Object. Therefore, if the realistic representation of nature, is it an abstract drawing? No. The drawing of a human being, if you draw a human being normal, is it abstract? No. The drawing of a still life. Now, what is still life? Still life is the composition of what? Or the drawing of what? A composed object. Of what? Still object. Object that does not move. When you arrange them and then you draw them, that is known as what? Still life drawing. Now, however, an abstract art is a realistic representation of distorted representation of an artwork. So if I should pick this water bottle and then I distort it, maybe I elongate the neck and then bend it. Now I've converted it into what? An abstract image. Now you see the drawing of some human beings, some cartoons. You see their head very big and a tiny leg, and we call those things what? A caricature. But we still regard them as what? As abstract art. They are near realism. So they are abstract. So the distorted representation of an artwork is known as what? An art abstract. So when you see questions like this, what they're asking you to define abstract. And what is an abstract? It is just the drawing of a what? A distorted image or what? The drawing of an irregular what? Shape or form. Therefore, our answer for question 12 is D. So D is the answer for question 12. All right, let's move over to question 13. Which of the following does a textile artist use to form pattern? Watch. Which of the following does a textile artist use to form pattern? Now, if you followed me from the beginning, I told you, when we talked about the tattoo, I told you that first, there's what we call motif. But, well, let's just see the logo. Let's see the options we have in the course of the options we have. Now, option A, They say, which of the following does a textile artist use to form pattern? Is it logo? Now, first, what is logo? Logo are trademarks. They are businesses and signature. You know, it is somebody's identity. Like for MTN, you see their MTN yellow is their identity. Coca-Cola, you see their red and that their signature. That is logo. So textile designers, they don't use logo. Now B, yam. All of us know what yam is now. You eat yam. C, you have your motif. Now motif is a unit of what? A design is a unit of design. So what do they use to form their pattern? So the constant repetition of motif creates what? Pattern. Therefore, our answer is C. Because it is out of motif that you create what? Patterns. And then if you see the option D, is your regular poster. Posters, that's what your politicians they use and your churches. They use it to invite people to inform them about their different programs. But however, textile artists, they use motifs to form pattern. Like I told you initially that we have different patterns. We have the all over repeat pattern. We have the full drop. We have the half drop. We have the diamond repeat pattern. We have, you know, we have the diamond repeat pattern. Like I said, we have the bricks repeat pattern. Now all these patterns, you know, exist and they are all produced from what? From motifs. So therefore, when you say a question like which of the following does a textile artist use to form patterns, you should just know that they use motifs to form pattern. Therefore, the answer to this question is C. C is the answer to this question. All right. So let's go over to question number 14. All right. They say varnish is essential for the protection of dash. Now, first, what is varnish? Imagine a beautiful girl. I want to explain exactly what varnish is. After taking her bath, she did not wear clothes. Okay, she just wore her clothes and then she came out. You appreciate her? Yes, for those of us, yes, we might just appreciate her natural beauty and then that is that. Now, but varnish now is like a beautiful girl that after taking her bath, she went in, sit down, and then the makeup artist applied, you know, their mascara, their eyelashes, their whatever, all their stuffs they apply on their face, and then that's embellishing. Now they now use the finishing, you know, to spray it and then make it look. Now that is the work of what? The varnishing. Now the varnish is essential for the protection of A, oil painting, B, watercolor painting, C, pastel painting, D, gouache painting. Now let's pick them one after the other, but I'll start from the down. Now gouache is a watercolor medium. Is a watercolor medium. Varnishes, they are oil medium. They are like paint. They have this, you know, Vaseline kind of shiny effect. Now, you can't use that on a gouache. You will damage the painting. Now, same thing applies to pastel. Pastels are like chalk. You have two types of pastel. We have the chalk pastel and then we have the what? Oil pastel. So we don't use varnish on what? Pastels. Now we have the watercolor painting, just like your poster color. You can't use varnish on poster color. Now we use varnishes on oil paintings because it goes where with what? With the color. It is essential for what? To protect the surface of what? Oil painting. Like after painting, you now use the varnish to seal it and give it that glossy kind of effect. So persons use acrylic. You know, in as much as we have acrylic as a color, there is a chemical too known as acrylic that they also apply it as what? As a varnish. It gives it that vanishing effect and make it shine and looks beautiful. So the answer to question number 14 is A. All right. So now let's look at question number 15. Now the Byzantine art emerged in the 4th century in dash. The Byzantine art emerged in the 1st century in dash. A, Constantinople, B, Rome, C, Paris, and D, Crete. So where does the Byzantine? Now this is the Byzantine period. This is the period when the Christians suffered in the hands of what? The Romans. That most of them ran into what? Caves. They were living in caves. They were scared. And that was where the word catacomb came out from. You know, catacomb became a graveyard for the Christians that ran away, you know, during the Byzantine period into what? The into the caves. So now this Byzantine, and now there is a place it got to a point when the Christians, they were now split into the Constantinople. Now for those of you that are Catholic, you can explain this even more better. Now the Byzantine art emerged in the 14th century during the Constantinople. So the answer to this question is A. We have the Romes, we have the Paris, and then we have the Crete, but it was during the Constantinople. All right, so now let's continue over to the next one. Now, pointillism became more popular during Dash. Now, remember what I was explaining, different periods. Now, in art, we have different movements in art. We have the classicism, we have the surrealism, we have the Fauvism, we have the pointillism, we have the impressionism, we have the Renaissance, we have the Dadaism. A lot of isms, we call them the isms period. Now this movement, during this movement, there are different artists that pioneer this movement, like the likes of Vincent van Gogh. We have the likes of the Michelangelo's, Pablo Picasso, to mention but a few. Now these guys played a lot of roles during this period. Now they say pointillism became more popular during what period? Is it during the classicism? Now during the classicism period, their works are classic. The modern art is what we are doing now. We have a touch of the classic, we have a touch of the pop, we have the touch of the Dadaism, we have a mix of a lot that forms the modern art. Now we have the impressionism. Now the likes of Vincent van Gogh, they fall into the impressionist art because a lot of the art, they look naturalistic, but they explore, they experiment a lot. So now, and then we have the Renaissance. Now among all these, which one do you think pointillism falls in? Now the answer is what? C, which is what? The impressionism. That is where the pointillism falls under. So therefore, our answer is what? C. All right, now let's look at question number 17. All right, now which of the following supports was used by the Roman painters for expressions? Which of the following spots was used by the Roman painter for what? Expression. A. Is it canvas? B. Is it wall? C. Is it wooden panel? And D. Is it metal panel? Now if you watch the Roman painters, they paint a lot on the wall and then they use most of their wooden panels. You see very creative works on wooden panel. Therefore, they do most of their expressions on what? Wooden panels. Therefore, our answer is what? C, which is the wooden panel. That is why they do many of their painting and for what? The expressions. All right. So now let's look at the next one, which is question number 18. Now the glory of the Gothic cathedral is in their dash. Listen, the glory of the Gothic cathedral is in their dash. A. Complex architectural what? Rendering. Now during this period, you see artists, they try to bring out their best. You see the pillars of some of their buildings. You see how they use relief artworks to decorate them. Very intricate and solid works. Now, is it how skillful, how complex the architectural rendering is? Or B, simple architectural rendering or using of what? Magnificent stained glass. And D, use of what? Colorful marble. Now watch, let's take it now. Now there is a cathedral in the Gothic period that is known for one thing. And for those of you that are very familiar with some of the paintings that Michelangelo painted, you could remember he painted on the ceiling of a mighty cathedral. Now, there is one thing that cathedral is known for, which is what? The use of what? Magnificent what? Stained glass. That is where our answer comes in from, which is question number what? Option number what? C. The use of what? Magnificent what? Stained glass is what they use. That is where their glory came from. And currently now, rarely though, but while I was actually growing up, for most of you might not be aware of this. You see some of these Catholic churches, they paint on their stained glasses. You see the painting of Jesus, his disciples, saints, a lot of saints, that both the ones dead and some current ones that are alive, they want to just project them. Mainly, you see they paint on their stained glass. So that was the glory of the Gothic what? Cathedral. It is in the magnificent what? Stained glass that was used in building their cathedral. All right, now let's look at question number 19. Now the prehistory cave painting reflected dash I have flogged this over and over and over again, but I will still try to understand this, how to sink. That by the time you face your post-UTME or your Jamb, whatever, you hit it back to back, and then you're done. Our prehistory cave painting reflected dash: A, animal; B, plants; C, building; and D, people. Now let's take it. Let's start from the question. Let's start from option D. People. Did they paint people? No, they did not paint people. The prehistory men, which is the cavemen, they did not paint people. As a matter of fact, then they were just wanderers. They were nothing like people. You know, they just move and sleep, and everybody on your own, whole Israel. Nobody stays together. All right. So the next people was, is it building? They never painted building because they don't have houses. Is it plants? They don't even plant because they eat, they feed on, you know, raw objects. So they painted animals. So if you go to my course, Prehistory Art, you will hear me talk about the characteristics, features of some of their paintings. I told us that they paint animals, and they don't just paint these animals, it is for ritual purposes. Now the essence is they paint those animals and pray to their gods to help them kill these animals, to help them attract the animals, and in turn kill them. That's the major reasons why they paint the animals. So in most of their paintings is the paintings of buffalo, you know, cow, wild animals, lion, elephants, to mention but a few. That is the kind of animals they painted. So the prehistory cave painting reflected animals, not plants, not building, neither is it people. Okay. All right, let's go back to the next question, question number 20. Now the Egyptian sculptural piece that is half human and half animal is dash. Watch this. The Egyptian sculptural piece that is half human and half animal is dash. A, we have the phoenix. B, we have the mummies. C, we have the mastaba. And D, we have the Nefertiti. Now, all these are monuments. They are gods of the Egyptian people. Like the mummies are the dead body of their kings. They call them mummies. And they don't bury them. They bury them with their slaves. So they bury them in a cave, in a catacomb. So those images, they are the mummies. Now, it is not half human and half animal. Now, the mastaba is another god again, and then the Nefertiti, they are all, you know, creatures. They worship them. Why? It is the phoenix that is half human and half animal. Therefore, the answer for this question is A. The phoenix. The phoenix is spelled S-P-H-I-N-X. So, phoenix. So, that is the sculptural piece or this Egyptian god that is half human and half animal. All right, so now let's continue. Dagon of Mali is renowned for its dash. A. Mask. B. Textile. C. Engraving. D. Decoration. Is it mask? Is it textile? Is it engraving? Is it decoration? They are known for their mask, the Malians. So they are known for what? The mask. You've heard the word Malians. Now some of you can relate to that word. All right, so that is the Dagon of Mali is known for what? Is renowned for its what? Mask. All right, so now let's continue to question number 22. Which of the following are characteristics of Egyptian art? Which of the following are characteristics of what? Of Egyptian art? A. Roundness of the shoulder. B. Short feet and small thigh. C. Rigidity and frontality. And D. Use of what? Bright and what? Raw colors. Now, there is one characteristic features of what? The Egyptian art is that they are rigid. If you watch them, their faces are and it's always on a profile figure. So the major characteristics of the Egyptian art is rigidity and what? Frontality, which gives us the question, the option number what? C as our answer for question number 22. So rigidity and frontality is the major characteristics of the Egyptian artwork. So it is not roundness of what? Of the shoulder. The shoulder are not, they're just straight, angle, rigid. It's not short feet or small thigh. No, that's one of the characteristics of Owo art. And then it is not the use of bright colors and raw colors. That's another characteristics of this period of the Cubism, the Cubic period. They use bright colors and then raw colors, to express themselves. All right, so now let's look at question number 23. The Mbari artists were mainly based in Dash. The Mbari artists were mainly based in Dash. Now there is a period. There is a period in Nigerian art when some group of modern artists, they group themselves together and then they form a club, an art club known as the Mbare Mbayo Art Club. So where are they known? Where are they major? Where are they based? Now this Mbare Mbayo people, they were based in Osogbo, not in Lagos, not in Ibadan, not in Ise, but in Osogbo. That is where they were based. So the Mbare Mbayo artists are based in Osogbo. All right. So that's explained. Now in Lagos, Lagos is the first University of College of Lagos. Is the first university where art started. So that is not where the Mbare Mbayo were based. It is not even in Ibadan. Another is Ise. Ise is a town that is known for 800 soapstone. So it is another popular Asian town and a traditional arts town. It's known as Ise. So that is that for Ise. But the Mbare Mbayo artists, they are based in Osogbo. Now there is a lady known as Suzanne Wenger. Maybe as we proceed, I guess maybe we'll see something like that and then we'll talk about it. If not, maybe just go and read about it, try other questions and try answering it, and then you can get a lot from it. Now, which of the following town is famous for the production of calabash? Now, which of the following town is famous for the production of calabash? A, Benin. Is it really Benin? Benin, they are known for bronze. They're known for ivory. They're known for, you know what ivory is? That's elephant tusk. They're carving on elephant tusks. They are known for wood carving. They're known for brass. That is what Benin is known for. Now, Nok is known for terracotta. Nok is another kind of art that is known for, they are known for terracotta. And now what's terracotta? Terracotta is known as what? Baked clay. So that's terracotta. So the Nok art, they are known for terracotta. They are not known for calabash. Then the Oyo people are known for what? Calabash. So therefore our answer is Oyo. The Jos, they are not known for calabash. The people that are known for calabash is what? The Oyo. Therefore our answer is C. C gives us our answer to this question. So now let's go over to the next question, which is question number 25. All right. In traditional art, or in traditional Nigerian art, there is a cultural and artistic connection between dash. Now let's get this straight. In traditional Nigerian art, there is a cultural and artistic connection between A, is it Nok and Benin? B, is it Nok and Ife? C, is it Ife and Benin? Or D, is it Benin and Igala? Now let me explain this. Nok is the first or is the oldest traditional art in Nigeria. After the Nok art, we get the Ife art. Now there is a whole lot of difference between the Nok art and the Ife art. Now the Nok produce only with terracotta. Their works are, they have triangular eyes. These are the characteristic features of the Nok art. They have triangular eyes. The pupil of the eyes are pierced. Even the nostril of the eyes are pierced. The ear, they are pierced. So they have elaborated hairdo. Now, they range from 10 centimeter to 1.5 meter height. Now, this is for the Nok art. Why the Ife art? Now, hear this. The Ife, they produce their works. They carve on stones. They make some of their works on bronze. And then they also carve on woods. So the Ife have three major characteristics that they work with. So therefore, there is no real similarity. The only similarity, and they also work with terracotta. So the only similarity between Ife art, now we are taking them one after the other. Now the only similarity between Ife art and Nok art is terracotta that they use. Same thing applies to the Benin. There is no relationship between the Nok art and the Benin art. There is no single relationship. Now let's look at question C. Ife and Benin. Ife and Benin. After the reign of the Ife kingdom, the Benin became so powerful and subdued the Ife. And then took a lot of the artists. And then so eventually the same artists that produce, I don't want to say the same artists, but the same style of artists that produce work for the Ife people, were the same people that produce work for what? The Benin people. Therefore, they share a common boundary. So their works are almost the same thing. They use the same image, the same pattern. Their works are hyper realistic, up to the extent that some of the white men that came to Nigeria stole some of those works, like the the Benin mask that is in the World Museum too, and some of the Ife objects that I found. So they have so much in common, the Ife and the Benin. They have so much in common. As a matter of fact, they share common boundary. So the Benin grew, that they subdued the Ife people and then took some of their artists and some of their glory, and then, now based on the question they are asking here, they say, in traditional Nigerian art, there is a culture and artistic connection between, the answer is what? C, which is the Ife people, and the Benin people. Now, if you check the Ife people, their works are real. Elaborated hairdo, they wear, bracelets, anklet. The same thing with the Benin people. A lot of beads, a lot of, artistic, whatever. They wear those things. So that is it. So whenever you see such questions, just know that, it is Ife and Benin. Now they might want to twist it. Now they might bring something like Ibibio and Benin. No, Ibibio people, Ibibio art, they work more with the wood. It's from the Akwa Ibom part. They do more of the mask, the Ebo masquerade and all that. So we have the Ibuku. The Ibuku, it is not, yes, in as much as they use more of bronze, we have more of the blacksmith works and the goldsmiths in the Ibuku, in the Ibuku settings. They have more of such, but their works are not similar. So the very ones that share common boundary with the Ife is the Benin. So they're the ones that are more similar here. The same thing applies to the Igala and the Benin. No, there are so much similarities. All right, so now let's look at question number 26. In Nigeria, thorn carving is practiced in dash. In Nigeria, thorn carving is practiced in dash. A, Owo, Sagamu. B, Owo and Edo Ekiti. C, Edo Ekiti and Ihiala. D, Sagamu and Oshobo. Now, what is thorn carving? Whenever you hear the word thorn carving, is carving on, I wish I can actually explain what that thorn is, but it's something you rather see it than me try to, explain. Like it's carving on thorns. You understand? So the people that carve more on thorns is the Owo people. The Owo people, they carve more on thorns, and the Shagamu people. Therefore, our answer to this question is A, the Owo and Shagamu. So that is it. The Owo and Edo Ekiti, Shagamu people carve on thorns too. So that's why you really just need to pay more attention in your art history. Read about the 10 local traditional arts. Extend, if you can read more about a little more in Ghanaian arts and other African arts. We will talk about the Ashantis, and to mention but a few. You read them, you can cover all this, to prepare yourself so that you'll be very, prepared for the exams. All right. So our question to question number 26 is what? Owo and Shagamu. All right. So now let's continue. Now, the starch used for designing in adire. What is adire? Adire is tie and dye. So the Yoruba name for adire, the English name for adire is tie and dye. So you can call it adire eleko, which is the Yoruba name. So adire eleko. Now they say the starch used for adire, for designing adire or for designing in adire eleko is boiled with dash. Now, every local Nigerian dye is made out of the indigo dye. So anywhere you just see that indigo dye and white alum, that is it. That is exactly what they use to boil the dye. So the indigo dye is used for the adire eleko. So therefore, our answer to this question is A. So let's go over to question number 28. Wood carving in Yoruba was primarily meant for dash. Wood carving in the Yoruba land was primarily meant for dash. A, religious purpose. B, economical purpose. C, royalty purpose. D, for ceremony. So the wood that are carved for the Yoruba people, what is it really meant for? It is for religious. It is not for economy because they don't sell them. It is their herbalists, their native doctors that carved on woods. So it is for what? Religious purposes. Yes, most times currently now we have actually transferred some of these wood carvings to our royalties. But the true sense of all these things are mainly for what? Religious purposes. Therefore, the wood carving in Yoruba was prominently meant for what? Was primarily meant for religious purposes. So it is not for royalty, it is not for ceremony, it is not for economical purposes, it is for religious purposes. Currently now we sell some of those things. Oh yes, they sell some of all these artifacts. Little wonder most parents might not want their children to go into art because they see them as spiritualists, But the true sense of it is art is creative, art is entertaining, art is life, art is anything and everything. You make money from art. In fact, to be an artist is a living or is a working business. You understand? All right. Somebody will say you're hyping art. Yes, that is exactly what it is. For you to be here and to have watched me this far, it seems you're chasing something and you find that. All right. So now let's go back to the next question. Question number 29. The Zaria Art School is known for its dash. A. Natural synthesis. B. Unnatural synthesis. C. Motif design. And D. Freedom of expression. Now, the Zaria Art School is known for its dash. Freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. They have this liberty to do what they want to do, express themselves anyhow. So they are the ones that initiated what? The freedom of what? Expression. That's what they believe. You express yourself, the way you feel and how you feel. So the Zaria Art School is known for its what? Freedom of expression. All right. Now let's see the famous artist who worked with Suzanne Wenger, beautiful, was dash. A. 277. No, it is not 277. B. Jumo Borumo. It is not Jumo Borumo. Neither is it Jumo Akolum. No, it is the what? The Uli Biaras. Now, let me explain who Suzanne Wenger was and who are the Uli Biaras. Now, Suzanne Wenger is a white woman. She's a white artist. She's a sculptor. Now, she loves nature. And she left her country, came down to Nigeria in a place known as what? Oshobo. And then fell in love with the kind of art she saw there, and she chose to live her entire life there. Suzanne Wenger stayed almost eventually all her life in Nigeria, and then she formed what we call the Ulibiaras. Now it became a society where even to today some of her works are still very much available. You can go there, visit the place, and see some of the things she did. Strong sculptor. So some of the people that she works with, the famous artists who worked with her, they are known as what? The Ulibiaras. So the Ulibiaras are the people that worked with what? Suzanne Wenger. All right, so now let's proceed and go over to the next question. Question number 31. Now, which of the following is regarded as the founder of Nigerian Museum? Which of the following is regarded as the founder of Nigerian Museum? A. Ben Enwomu. Ben Enwomu is a contemporary Nigerian artist. He is he's a sculptor. He's a painter. He's not the founder, or neither is he the father of Nigerian Museum. Jumo Akolum, no, he's a contemporary Nigerian artist. Now, Kenneth Morel and Bernard Fagg were expatriates that were brought in by the father of art in Nigeria, who is Aina Onabolu. Aina Onabolu is regarded as the father of art in Nigeria. Now, he went back to the US and brought back these expatriates, Kenneth Morel and the likes of what? Bernard Fagg. Now, when they came, they helped him to build art in Nigeria. Therefore, Kenneth Morel founded the museum in Nigeria, and then he's now regarded as the father of museum in Nigeria, while Aina Onabolu is regarded as the father of art in Nigeria. Now, I don't know who is called Williams Fagg. If we had Bernard Fagg, then he's one of the founder of museum in Nigeria. But however, since Bernard Fagg is not here, the very person that is the father or the founder of museum in Nigeria is Kenneth Morel. He's a white expatriate that was brought in by the father of art in Nigeria, who is Aina Onabolu. Therefore, our answer for this question is C. Okay. All right. Now let's look at question number 32. Now the first tertiary institution in Nigeria to have an arts curriculum was dash. A. Yaba College of Technology in Lagos. B. Institute of Management Technology in Enugu, popularly known as IMT. C. Ahmadu Bello University of Zaria. And then D. University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So which among these universities is the first university, the first tertiary institution in Nigeria to have an arts curriculum? Now it is Yaba College of what? Technology in Lagos. When Aina Onabolu came back to Nigeria, he forced the federal government to include art in educational curriculum. And then he went back and brought the likes of what? Kenneth Morrell and what? Bernard Fagg to help him in teaching art in Nigeria, which made him the father of art in Nigeria. I hope you get that is where it's coming from. So that is exactly where all these are coming from. So College of Yaba Technology was the very first school that what art started in Nigeria. So therefore our answer to this question is A. All right. So now let's look at question number 33. Now the annual Igwe Festival is celebrated in dash. The annual Igwe Festival is celebrated in dash. A. Benin. B. Warri. C. Ondo. D. Akure. So where did you think the annual festival started from? Is it Benin City? Is it in Warri? Is it in Ondo? Or is it in Akure? So the answer is the Benin. That's where we have the Igwe Festival. That is where it was what? Celebrated. So the answer for this question is A. Okay. Now let's go back to the next one. The use of lines to describe an object is known as dash. The use of lines to describe an object is known as dash. Watch the question again. The use of lines to describe an object is known as dash. Now, A. Drawing. Now, what is drawing? Drawing is simply the use of lines to represent an object. Therefore, the use of line to describe an object is known as drawing. So which means they're just asking you what is the definition of drawing. Now, graphics. Graphics is the act of using letters, forms, pictures to pass an information. It is not the use of what? Lines. Painting. Painting is the use of colors, different tones of colors to express one's feeling. It is not the use of lines. Poetry or pottery rather, is the use of clay to make what? Utilitarian what? Objects such as plate, cup, WC, to mention but a few. Now, the question is, the use of lines to describe an object is known as drawing. Drawing is the use of lines to describe an object. All right, so now let's go back to the next question. Question number 35. All right, dyes are colorants most suitable for dash. Dyes are colorants most suitable for dash. This is a cheap question. I want to believe each and every one of us should answer in the speed of light. Now, is it for painting on the wall? Do you use dye to paint on the wall? It's as if I'm hearing you say no. All right. Is it printing on paper? Do you use dye to print on paper? I don't know about you, but for me, I don't use dye to print on paper. Is it drawing on canvas? Hey, the last time I checked, I drew on canvas with acrylic paint, oil color, pastel, gouache. I don't use dye. Now, is it printing on fabric? Oh, yes, we use dye to print on fabric. Therefore, the answer to this question number 35 is what? D. Printing on fabric. Dyes are colorants most suitable for printing on fabric. All right. So, having said this, we'll go over to question number 36. In lettering, one of the principles is that round characters are to be placed apart. You don't place round characters apart. You don't place them apart. What do? B, at an angle. You don't place round characters at an angle. Now, characters you place apart is characters like W, characters like V, characters like M. You know, you try to give them space because they are wide, so you have to place them apart. So, but characters, round characters, you place them closely. You bring them close. You understand? You bring them close. You don't separate them. You bring them close. So therefore, our answer is what? Closely. In lettering, one of the principles is that round characters are to be placed closely. So that is the correct answer for that. All right. So now let's move over to question number 37. All right, check out this question. Now, in the pictorial composition above, the eye level is represented by dashed line. Now, if you watch, the first line is E and F. Don't mistake that as your eye level, because if you're looking at the first line, you're going, that's above eye level. Your eye, you will need to raise up your eye. So E and F is out of it. Did you understand? Now, G and H is your eye level because they are straight to your eye. You don't have to either raise your eyes, blink your eyelashes, or bring them down. No, they are just your eye level. So therefore, the correct answer to this question is G and F. However, it is not I and J, because your eye, you're bringing your eye down. That's not eye level. So your eye level is just, if you place your eye straight, that's the line of horizon, is known as what? Your eye level. So therefore, the answer to this question is G and H. And in our option, E and F wrong, G and H correct, which means B is the correct answer to this. So therefore, it is not IJ, neither is it KL. All right, so now let's move over to the next question. An amateur is essential to the artist in executing large work in dash. First, what is an amateur? An amateur is the skeleton of a sculpture. An amateur is the skeleton of what? Of a sculpture. Therefore, an amateur is essential to a sculptor. So if you look at the question, an amateur is essential to the artist in executing large works in A, is it sculptural works? B, is it ceramics works? D, C, is it carving? And D, is it in craft? Common sense, like we've explained, based on what I've just explained, you just know that what? Amateur are used in what? Sculptural work of art. So when you hear the word amateur, just know that the amateur, they are the skeleton of a sculpture. They help large sculptural work to stand erect, to withstand pressure, because you cannot just start heaping clay without a skeleton. Even while God was creating man, he created man with clay. So that is what I was taught. So in that clay, he created an armature, which is your bones, your skeleton. The same thing applies to man as an artist. If you're making an artwork, you need a skeleton to support the artwork, which is known as what? The armature. So the armature are skeletons of a sculpture. So that is that about that. All right. So now let's look over to the next question, number 39. In computer graphics, the name given to a device used in navigating Windows environment is dash. In computer graphics, the name given to a device in computer graphics, the name given to a device. Now, what is a device? Devices are electronics. Some of them are mechanical. They are things you can touch. They help you. They are machines. They help you with maneuver. So they say in computer graphics, the name given to a device, given to a machine used in navigating the windows. For those of you that learned computer graphics, you know, in computer. So what is the name given to that device? Given to device. So what is the name? What is the name given to this guy? What is his name? All right. Is it A? Is it a keyboard? Do you use the keyboard to maneuver or to navigate windows? No. Is it ruling pen? I wonder who used ruling pen. Now, is it a mouse? Oh, yes. And that gives us what? C as our correct answer. So the mouse is the device that is what's used to navigate the windows environment. It is not the pencil. In as much as currently now we have the pen. For those of you that uses the Wacom, you know the Wacom is like is a drawing board. So it has a pen I used to draw. Now that pen serves as the mouse. It has a clicking button. The nib clicks too. So if you see the Wacom pen and then you now see the mouse, which means they are supplying you 2 answers. So you can choose any of those answers. You're very correct. But since there is no pen there, what they have there is pencil. Nobody use pencil to navigate the Windows environment. All right. So even if they put that very Wacom pen there, it is even wrong because that Wacom pen is designed for drawing alone. We use it to draw, for graphics designs anyway. So you don't use it to navigate Windows. Yes, you can actually use it to navigate your Windows though, but in recent, the very one that is designed to navigate in the window is the mouse. So therefore, question C becomes the answer to this option. All right, let's look at the next question. That's question 40. We are doing so well. Now, in CorelDRAW application, ruler guide is used to get the dash. In CorelDRAW application, the ruler guide. Now, there is what we call the ruler guide in your CorelDRAW. Now, the ruler guide is on the top and by the side is like the L. Even in your Microsoft Excel and your Microsoft Word, you still have the ruler. Now, what is the function of that ruler guide? What does it help you to do? Is it to top? Okay, let me read the question again. In CorelDRAW application, ruler guide is used to get the top size of a given object, the accurate size of a given object, the lower size of a given object, the accurate size and the inaccurate size of a given object. Now, what does that ruler guide gives? What does it help you to do? Imagine you're designing something on a CorelDRAW wall, and then you want these 2 bottles. You want these 2 bottles to be at par. Now you need the ruler guide to get the accurate size of the object. So that is the work of the ruler guide. It helps you get the accurate size of the object. It helps you to align images on an equal pedestal. So that's exactly what it does in CorelDRAW design. Therefore, the answer is D. The ruler guide helps, to get the accurate size of a given object. All right. So now let's look at question number 41, which is the next question we'll have here. Now, which of the following grades of pencil is good for making dark marks? Which of the following grades of pencil is used for making what? Dark marks. Now, today I'm going to teach you your pencils. Like I'm going to explain your pencils. Now, we have the HB pencils. Now, these HB pencils, they are hard bristles. The nib of the pencils, they're very hard. Now, they produce, sharp lines and they are precise. Therefore, quick sketches, the HB pencils. Now, we have the 2H pencils. Now, the 2H pencil is telling you that the pencil is 2 times harder than what? The HB. You understand? So it is very hard. Now we also have pencils are divided into 2 major patterns and 2 major forms. We have the H and then we have the B pencils. We have the H pencils and what? The B pencils. The H pencils are known for what? The hard black pencils. While the B pencils are the black pencils. They are graphite, they are soft. You understand? And they produce very dark colors. Now, when you get the H pencils, they are not very dark. They are strong. They can withstand pressure. They are very strong. We don't really use them for shading. We use them to draw. That is for the H pencils. Now, the HB stands in between the H and the B. That is why in your exam, whenever you're going to write exam, they advise you to go with HB pencil because it is neither hard nor soft. It produces, a level playground for everybody to balance, to work on. But the B pencils, they are softer pencils. They produce dark tones. They're like charcoal. but soft charcoal this time. Therefore, if you fall back to the question, now they ask, which of the following grades of pencil is good for making what? Dark mark. A, HB, B, 2H, C, 4B, D, 4H. Now, common sense will tell you it is what? C, 4B, which is, it is 4 times black. Now we have 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, down to 12B, which is the 12 times what? Soft and what? Black. So all these have their different texture and different what? Tonal what? Gradations. Why? The same thing applies to what? The H pencils, which is 4 times hard, is 6 times hard, is 12 times hard, 4H, 6H, 12H, 2H, and then we now have the what? The HB, which stands in between the B pencils and what? The H pencils. Now with the question they ask, which of the following grades of pencil is good for making dark mark? Now you should know that the answer is what? The 4B will give you a very dark mark. All right, now let's proceed over to question number 42. Question 42. All right, now which of the following is best arranged in order of what? Softness. Which of the following is best arranged in order of what? Softness. Now, based on what I just explained about the HB pencils, now that should advise your answer. Now, they say, which of the following is arranged in order of softness? Now, you start from the right and start from the left, you crescent to the right, or you start from the right to the left. Now, let's see. You have the 3B, 2B, HB, and MH and HB. That is from the dark to the hard. Now you have the 3B, HB, H, and 2B. Now you have the H, you have the HB, you have the 2B, and then you have the 3B. Now you have the 2B, you have the HB, and then you have the 3B. Now if you watch, you will know the one that crescents from the hard to the mid-light to the lighter and to the lightest. Now let me explain what I mean. Like from the light, which is the H light, soft H light, we have the HB, not too dark, not too, that's the balance. You have the B, dark, and then you have what? The 3B, which is what? The darkest. Therefore, our answer to this question is C. That gives us the very answer based on what they ask. Which of the following is best arranged in order of what? Softness. So that is exactly what you choose, that is arranged in order of what? Softness. All right, now let's continue and see question number 43. Calligraphy pen can be preserved after used by A. First, what is calligraphic pen? Now, calligraphic pen is a special pen that is used to write what? A kind of special what? Lettering. There is a lettering known as what? Calligraphy. Now, this is a lettering that is mainly used in your certificate. Now, for those of you that studied lettering in school, in your secondary school, now they have explained the different types of what? Lettering. We have the text, we have the bold, we have the Gothic, we have the Roman, we have the Italy, you know, to mention but a few. Then we have different fonts. So now calligraphy on its own is a special type of hand-written pen. So it works with what? Ink. So imagine you're working with that pen and then you just leave it like that. What will happen to the pen? You damage it. So they say calligraphic pen can be preserved after use by A, oiling, B, steaming in hot water, D, rinsing in cold water, and D, greasing, as in greasing. So what do you think would be perfect for the pen, calligraphic pen? After working or after writing your certificate with, or after doing whatever you want to do with the calligraphic pen. Now, mind you, calligraphic pen comes in different nibs. Now, what do I mean by nibs? I mean the mouth. It comes in different sizes and different patterns of the mouth. So each of this pattern depends on what you want to write. We have the small nibs. They are numbered from number 1 to number 6, depending on the calligraphic pen you're working with or you bought. So each of those pen has their own, modus operandi. You understand? What do I mean by modus operandi? How it works, how it goes, how we use them. So if you want bolder lines, you use bolder, you use 0.5, 0.6, the bigger ones. If you want tiny lines, you use 0.1, 0.2. So now how do you preserve the calligraphic pen? Is by what? Rinsing in cold water. As soon as you're done, you rinse the pen in cold water and then keep it to dry, and then you put it back in the pack. So that is how we use, or you can preserve, the calligraphic pen. All right, so now let's look at question number 44. An atomizer is most ideal in application of dash. An atomizer is most ideal in application of dash. What is an atomizer? Atomizer is what we use to control a chemical. So what is that thing? It is most ideal in what? Is it in linseed oil? Linseed oil is used to mix oil color. They are solvents. We use them to mix oil color. So the atomizer does not necessarily need the linseed oil. Is it polymer? No. Or is it the poster color? No. So rather is about fixative. We use the atomizer, with what? The fixative. So it is perfect with the fixative. So an atomizer is most ideal in the application of what? Fixative. Now what is fixative? Now if you're working with chalk pastel, oil pastel, or even gouache, all these colors that cannot withstand pressure, it is most, or with pencil, we advise you fix them. Now how do you fix them? You use what we call the fixative. And some of these fixative, we have two types of fixative. We have the normal local fixative and the spray fixative. Now if you're using the normal local fixative, that's where you need the atomizer. But if you're using a normal spray fixative, it's already embedded in it. So you use it to fix your work so that it cannot be cleaned or damaged or erased. So that is exactly what the fixative does. All right. Okay, so I did not click my answer for question 43. Therefore, rinsing, like I explained, is the correct answer for question 43. All right, now let's look at question 45. A spatula can be improvised using dash. First, what is a spatula? A spatula is a tool that is used to beat in sculptural work or to mix clay or any other object, any other solvent. We use to stir things. A perfect example of a spatula is your turner gari, your gari turner. You have your spoons. They are perfect example of spatula. Now they say spatulas can be improvised using what? Now what is improvisation? Improvisation is the act of using the available when the needed is not available. Hey, did you get that? Let me explain so you understand it. Now, making use of what you have when what you need or what you're supposed to use is not available. That is what improvisation means. Now, for example, I want to turn my gari and I don't have gari turner. I'm using gari because you can relate to it. I don't have gari turner. I can use my spoon, the soup spoon, strong soup spoon, to turn the gari. Now I've just improvised. Now let me bring it back to art. I need a palette. You know what a palette is? Where you mix your color. You don't have a palette. You can look for any available plastic, flat plastic, to mix your colors on it as your palette. So that's exactly what improvisation means. Now they're asking you, now spatula can be improvised using dash. Spatula can be improvised using what? Wood. Because you want to turn something. You want to beat in something. So you use wood to do that. So the answer for question number 5 is what? Wood. And that is A. All right, now let's look at question number 6. Which of the following pigments can be obtained locally from clay? Which of the following pigments can be obtained locally from clay? Now, what is a pigment? A pigment is a color. You know, it could be dye, it could be ink. We have 3 major pigments. We have paint, ink, and dye. These are the 3 pigments of colors. So they say, where can you get this pigment? Like a pigment of. So which of the following pigments can be obtained locally by clay? Now they're asking you the color. Which of the color can be obtained locally from clay? Now A. Now what is the color of a clay? Is it yellow? Is it red? Is it lemon yellow? Is it blue? Is it green? So common sense will tell you that clay is near yellow. And there's what we call the yellow ochre. That's the color of the clay. Terracotta, baked clay, yellow ochre. So therefore, our answer for this question is not lemon yellow, it's not blue, it's not green, because clay is not green, clay is not blue, clay is not lemon, clay is yellow ochre. Or you can say it's yellow. Therefore, our answer to this question is what? B. Alright, so now let's go over to the next question. Now, architecture, an important feature of the built environment, is an example of dash. Now, if you remember earlier, I told you that architecture is an important feature, falls under which field of art? Is a utilitarian art that solves the problem of what? Accommodation and building. So which of the art does it fall under? Is it in performing arts? Is it in visual art? Is it in literary art? Or is it in Coptic art? It is not in performing art. Performing art talks about dance, drama, writing, music, singing. It is not in literary art. Literary art is law, journalism, writing, prose, poetry. It is not in Coptic art. I don't know what Coptic art is. But it is in what? In visual art. Because it solves a problem. It solves a problem. So architecture is an important feature of the built environment. Is an example of what? Visual art. All right. So now let's look at question. Okay. So visual art. So let's trigger our answer. All right. Now let's go over to the next question. All right. Ikogosi warm spring is described as a natural phenomenon because A, it is naturally warm in dry season. B, occurs naturally in wet season. C, occurs naturally. D, is artificially kept warm. Now they say Ikogosi warm spring is a spring in the place known as what? Ikogosi. And it's a warm spring. They say it is described as a natural phenomenon because of what? Because it occurs naturally. Nothing makes it. It's not because of the season, neither is it because of the place it is located. So the answer is what? It occurs naturally. So it's a place is a spring to behold. You can actually, the spring is always warm. Some persons go there for prayers, and then because of the nature of the stream, it is always warm, the spring. So you can just try it. So it occurs, is a natural phenomenon because it occurs naturally. So that is the answer to question number 45. All right, so now let's look at question number 49. Now, a work of art is successful if the dash. A, work is monumental. Now, what do I mean by monumental? If the work is big. Now, they say a work of art is successful if it is big. Is that true? B, the colors are sharp. So if the colors are sharp, it simply means the work of art is successful. Really? C, the elements are well arranged. What are the elements of art? I explained there are 7 in number: line, form, shape, texture, color, space, and what? And what? Tell me the last one. All right. So those are the 7 elements of art. Now, if they are well arranged, does it mean the artwork is successful? I don't know about that. And then finally, the surface is bright. So what do you think? When the elements of art are well arranged, which means the elements are well organized by the principles of art, then the artwork is what? Is successful. So which means which gives us what? C as our answer. Okay, so now that takes us to our final question for today, which is question number 50. Now, caption used to enhance television announcements will be more understandable if produced as A, graphics, B, painting, C, mosaic, and D, collage. Let's take this again. Captions used to enhance television announcements would be more understandable if produced as painting. Really? No. Mosaic. Really? You know what mosaic is? Painting. Painting is the act of using colors, to paint. Mosaic is the art of using pebbles, to create a work of art, to paint. Collage, the art of using flexible materials and objects, to make a painting. Or graphics. Graphics is the art of using pictures, letters, fonts, motion, audio. So TV programs works with what? Graphics designer. So that which gives us our answer as what? A. All right, thank you so very much. We've come to the end of this class. Now you can practice more past questions using the exam guide. Now till we meet again, bye-bye for now.